In the year 2001, one little game, Final Fantasy X, came out and changed the world forever. Okay, jokes aside, let's get straight into things. This game did a massive amount to transform the PS2 into this console capable of deep, enthralling narratives. In fact, to this day, despite releasing so early in the PS2's lifespan, it is still one of the most gorgeous games on the system. When you start this game, you are greeted instantly with this beautiful intro cinematic, taking you through this epic underwater blitzball game backed by this badass Limp Bizkit sort of track. And suddenly, the city around you is attacked by something, I don't know. Even ignoring the incredible graphical fidelity, that is one hell of an intro. Now you could say it sells a completely separate picture than the emotional joyride FF6 is, but regardless of that, it was the 2000s and man did it kick ass. In this game, you are thrust into the world of Xanarkand as a starring player named Titus. As his hometown gets attacked by Sin, he wakes up miles from home on the island of Besaid. Now let's get into the graphics. The graphics are great. The world at times, especially near the end, feels immensely lived in, and I really do admire the intricately pre-rendered hand-painted background. Combined with the PS2's power, Spira begins to feel far more real and tangible, especially in comparison to previous Final Fantasy games. In terms of character and character designs, Auron is personally my favorite. I mean, the suit, mask, bandana, all memorable, that stuff will stick with you for years. Waka is this picture-perfect blitzball sort of player, and he is a devoted follower of Yevon, and this will cause a lot of issues in the future, so keep that in mind. Yuna, she's the daughter of the famous summoner, mages who use these powerful monsters in order to defeat Sin. Her father was a man by the name of Braska who passed away. When he sacrificed himself to beat Sin, the cycle continued yet again and Sin returned. Yuna must prepare on an epic pilgrimage towards the heart of Sin. Titus accompanies her as main protagonist. Now, he isn't as cool as Cloud or Squall or anything, but he still is incredibly well designed and still does develop just as much as they do, if not more. Lulu's dark fur dress perfectly matches her stoic demeanor. Riku's something. Now, to be more specific, she's a foil to the practitioners of Yevon, as she is an outsider who has her own faith. Her people, Elbed, use Machina, something considered contradictory to the religion of Spira. Therefore, the Elbed live in the desert shunned. Now, Riku finds the idea of the final summoning and Yuna's sacrificing quite objectionable, and rivalries deepen.
Can't believe I've been traveling with an Albed, a heathen!
Now, Kimahari is just Falco with a PCP addiction. Now, this is especially interesting considering that despite being the first FF with a functionally all-human cast, this still has the most recognizable one after FF7. Now, our band loves to talk, and this is also the first Final Fantasy game that's been fully voice acted, so of course every other few steps is going to be a pseudo cutscene. You don't ask to talk to them, they'll stop the game intermittently just to talk to you and bother you. And I never mind it. I mean, it's not just that I feel stupid running around with the rest of my team magically gone, but I also do feel something for these characters. I do feel they're fighting with me. I do want to see them riff off each other, discuss the road ahead, analyze it, etc, etc. In terms of acting, well, it can be over the top. But I think it's been incredibly tarnished, whether in good fun or otherwise. I mean, this game, despite being one of the first major voice-acted games,
Give me a drink, bartender.
to a professional caliber at least, feels to me on par with a lot of modern games. Even better in terms of selling the plight of these characters, the love and at the time fear they have towards one another. So in general, can it be absurd at times? Of course, but the whole effort was a labor of love. They wanted to tell a legitimate story within the untold frontiers of a game, and I absolutely must respect it. So now, what you're here for, gameplay. Now, is this game fun to play? It is. This game deviated from the long-time ATB system FF used since it came to the West. This basically means that you can go out for a leak, and enemies won't attack you meanwhile. Do I prefer this? Yeah, I vastly prefer it, and make no mistake, this was not diluting the game back to 1989, but rather a very engaging and rewarding way to strategize. Now, it's not all attack, defend, attack, rather, it's a very fast and gripping system. But more importantly, you see, if you use a certain powerful spell, you might not be allowed to move to your next turn. If you use moves like delay attack, you may get more turns, and if you circumvent everything with Hastiga, the whole system doesn't matter either way. And this is all shown with an actively changing turn screen that actively changes with your decisions. And can I tell you something? I didn't even notice or remotely rely on it till the second Seamer fight. Another important thing to watch out for are the major difficulty spikes. Unalescu and Seemna Ominous come to mind, and yet, instead of needing to grind, this actually can be rewarding, as you actually have to strategize for the first time, knowing precisely what spells to use, what moves to make, and they end up being some of the most fun and memorable fights in the game. And this is all going to segue into my major gripe with this game. This game is filled to the brim with all these mechanics, spells, ways to level up your enemas, boost your weapons, and yet on a normal run, you never need it. Now this can be a blessing at times, as you rarely need to legitimately grind, but then again, with most bosses having every weakness or none at all, you can make this meticulous, engaging system something some random 10-year-old kid can brute force with overdrives. Just for example, why would you want to farm 30 Mana Springs just to teach your Aeon Lancet when Yuna could already cast Curiga? Riku needs those items anyways. In terms of saving, there are loads of them scattered generously right before any major cutscene or boss fight, which, I'll give you this, it is quite convenient. But come on man, that mixed with Yuna's built-in healing negates the entire purpose of reviving all these random mob encounters. It's the same thing with weapons. You don't really need to implement this upgrading system if nobody's gonna use it. I mean, even completionists tend to just focus on the sphere grid. What is the sphere grid? Essentially, instead of a typical leveling system and instead of working within the confines of classes, FFX went a unique route where, after collecting a certain amount of AP, you can level up in this maze of different HP, agility, strength boosts, in whatever direction you so will. Learning black magic as Yuna, white magic as Lulu, Riku as a damage dealer, you're free to go your own path. Now this is with the exception of Kimahari. He's a blue mage, which means he imitates the weak trash mob moves. And on top of that, he's unfortunately simply just rarely used as a backup character, stuck in the center of a grid, only able to copy and be an incredible downgrade of whatever character you pick. Other than that, my only gripe is that the spheres you get to unlock these certain areas barely ever run out. On that note, there are key spheres that initially block you from going down other routes, but you rarely need to until the post-game and you get them from dungeons anyways. This system, while not perfect, rate FFX. Okay, I can already hear it. Yes, some people do know sphere grid runs, but that's by solely using OP items and all sorts of mechanics to cheat the game. I mean, that's like using a Game Genie and saying, oh, Contra's not hard actually. Pen was the first Final Fantasy game to have dungeons a la Zelda. They're puzzle focused. Narratively, you are meant to go from dungeon to dungeon in order to prepare for your final summoning. As the unit collects more Aeons at the very end, she is rewarded with one. But in practice, it amounts to you putting orbs in certain crevices, one at a time. Certain crevices open certain doors, and there are some more confusing parts, but those are for the destruction orbs, hidden treasures that you need in the post-game. Yet, in terms of simply finishing them for a regular run, they are honestly relatively straightforward. Ironically, over time they end up getting more and more simple till near the very end while you're playing carnival games. At the end, as I said, you get these new awesome Aeons, which make it all your while. You know, it's a great palette cleanser. Dark, sinister, ominous, generally not that difficult unless you're a completionist. Now we must discuss the music. Okay, this is unanimously considered the most best work. Very heroic, orchestral, at times touching, personal, pleading. You get these strange sort of religious hymns, an ever-present theme in this game, mixed with a classical harpsichord. It is perhaps the most bittersweet soundtrack of any FF game, despite my first time playing being quite recent, and even I begin to look back fondly. Now, if there's one thing that elevates Final Fantasy X from a great PS2 game to an absolute masterpiece, it's the story. We have a summoner and her childhood friends, and they come to cleanse the land of this formless, boundless entity by the name of Sin. If I were to define him, he's sort of like Gigius of the Ring, that are representations, abstractions of the deepest, darkest aspects of humanity. She then meets a boy whisked away by its tentacles, who lived 1,000 years ago. His name is Titus, or Titus, it's still up for debate somehow. And over time, as she goes on her pilgrimage, she begins to feel that the priests of Yevon are not as devout as they may seem. Indeed, corruption is an indubitable fact. While the practitioners of Yevon are good nature, the clergy are deeply, deeply corrupt, and their priest, the obviously evil Seymour, just look at the guy, begins to show his darker side, coming back again and again and again, getting revived again and again and again, just to achieve his dream of cleansing Spira once and for all by becoming sin itself. Now, in general, there are a lot of twists and turns. Summoning, killing the summoners, and then being revived as Sin, Titus's father being Sin, Orin secretly being dead, and by the end, the characters finally reach Turrican, and they begin to realize that Yuna's impending doom is more of an inevitability. Now, she is selfless and she accepts it with grace, but eventually they finally attack Sin and forgo a final summoning, refusing to repeat this cycle and sacrifice Yuna. And Titus realizes he's fighting to erase his own existence. It all is devastatingly poignant. Now, FF6 has some of the best character development imaginable in a Final Fantasy game. Titus starts off as this edgy sort of kid, doesn't really like to talk, all in his feelings, teenager developing, all that sort of jazz, like Squall before him. Lulu is dark and cynic. Yuna is scared of coming face to face with her responsibilities. Waka is racist.
Don't go near Albert anymore, okay? They're trouble.
I mean, hell, even Waka grows to love Riku. And Yuna, in spite of X the Second's best effort, is a deeply selfless woman who fights for her people in spite of any corruption that goes her way. A lot of later games might have attempted some character assassination, but irrespective of that, I need to quote a friend here. Everything she did was out of love for the people of Spira. Every sacrifice she made, every step she made, she did it all for Spira. In the end, these characters grow to learn to love each other and face the impossibilities ahead with a smile. And all in all, I think this game is a masterpiece in all aspects, and perhaps a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And I can do nothing but recommend you to buy it right here, right now. Go to the PlayStation Store, get it in person, the remaster's cheap. Well, what's left to say other than like and subscribe? And also, thank you for making it this far. Genuinely, it might have been a slog, but thank you. Outside of that, I just am so amazed that despite my first time playing this game being so recently, I already feel nostalgia over it. I already reminisce over the best parts. It's just had a hold on me, and I think that's an incredible sign of just an absolute masterpiece. Other than that, thank you, and I bid my adieu.